we've had quite a lot of questions from customers asking what exactly the changes are, whether they need to do anything. So we wanted to take this opportunity to clarify things for everyone. But I'll say right from the start, don't worry, the legislation does not mean you need to throw away all your existing glasses and goggles. We will go on to explain why, but I promise there is nothing to panic about if you are finding yourself sitting there panicking. We're really pleased to have Steve from Bollé Safety with us today. Bollé Safety are one of the leading names in protective eyewear, so they're the perfect people to walk us through these new standards, tell us what they mean, and possibly answer a few questions we might have. And to tie in with today's session, we're going to run a 10% discount on all Bollé Safety products until the end of this year. Now, we've got to go through a few of the usual housekeeping notes before we get started. Cameras and microphones have been turned off for everyone except me and Steve. That's just to avoid any distractions. Feel free to use the chat box, which you'll see is one of the icons at the top of the screen. Use it for general comments or to engage with us or each other. If you have a specific question, please try and use the Q&A chat box. There's a lot of us online today, and it just helps me keep track of what questions still need answers. And Kat from our technical support team are going to be in the background. We will be answering questions during the presentation. I might ask Steve to pause to cover something, but otherwise we'll save most of it for the end. CPD certificates have been very popular with these sessions, so if you would like a certificate of attendance for your continuing professional development, email your local area manager after this session and they will send you one. If you're not sure who that is, then you can contact me. So I think, is my screen sharing, Steve, at the moment?
It is.
Yep. Okay. So my contact details are on screen. So if you're not sure who to contact, you can always contact me. This webinar is being recorded, same as our previous webinars. We generally upload it within a week of the live event. So if you do want to rewatch anything or share it with a colleague, you can. And that is everything from me today. So I hope everyone has a good session, and I'm going to hand you over to Steve.
Well, good afternoon, everybody. But before we start, Gary, there's a lot of people in the comments saying that they've got no audio. I don't know if that's at their end or some are saying it's fine and some are saying that it's not.
If some are saying it's fine, the slide which I'm currently sharing, or I've just stopped sharing, has a message to say the problems will be with their speakers. Okay. There's not much we can do about it, unfortunately.
Okay, fine. Okay, so okay, well, thank you for the introduction. Good afternoon, everybody. As Gary said, my name is Steve Lydiot. I'm the sales director for Bollé for UK and Ireland, and more than happy to be here this afternoon for a short period of time to go through the new standards with you. You'll see in a moment when I share my screen, you may be slightly horrified when you see at the top that there's 29 slides. I'm not going to go through every one for the simple reason there's not a need to. But obviously the presentation that we put together will be available and you can request it so you can read through it at your own leisure, digest the information in a bit more detail. And if you've got any questions, by all means, reach out to Gary. And if he can't, and his team, if they can't answer them, then I'll happily do so. To sum things up rather briefly, but effectively, is that there are a lot of people who are getting worried about the new EN ISO standards. Let me just go to the front page here. In essence, there is absolutely nothing for you to worry about whatsoever. For those of you who don't know anything about Bollé Safety, Bollé Safety is a leading global manufacturer of safety eyewear. Some of you may know us from our skiing and cycling on the sports and luxury side of the business. Safety is a completely different vision. The one thing that's core to the business is about protection of your eyes. Okay, that's why we're in existence. That's the only thing that we're interested in. Whilst the sports and luxury division have skiing helmets and cycling helmets, safety is purely about eyewear and all its different forms, from glasses to goggles to hybrid goggles to face shields, such things like that. So we now trade in over 100 countries worldwide, and many offices from America to the UK to France to Australia, Japan, so forth and so on. So hopefully in what I've just said, it will give you some comfort to know that if anybody is on top of the new regulations, it'll be ourselves. And fundamentally, the regulations have been kicked around now for some time, been delayed and delayed and delayed. But as of November, they come into force. What that then means from a manufacturing point of view is that anything new that Bollé produces, brings to market, must now be governed under EN ISO 16321, not EN 166, which is the current one. The one key thing to note with this is that as of November, anything that is still certified to EN 166 is still fine, and it will remain fine for the length of that certification. So if we have I can name a product which is called the console that we sell 7-8 million pieces of a year just in EMEA. That may have a 3-year lifespan still on its EN 166 certification, and that is fine. It's when that certification ends that we have to recertify, that it will then be recertified to EN the EN ISO regulations. So you are fine for anything that you may have that you've bought that's in stock, for argument's sake. Even with SLS, if they've got anything, they can still sell. That's not a problem. It only applies to new products that come to market or when there is a recertification that the new rules apply to. So there's nothing to be concerned about, nothing to worry about. Anything that you have currently is still perfectly fine to use and will be for some time. Okay. So one of the main areas, and this gives you a little bit more detail, but one of the main areas about EN ISO is also about the ratings. So under the EN 166, you'll have certain things to do with anti-fog. That as a manufacturer, if you can prove that your glasses and goggles, won't fog or scratch to a certain level through a testing, then you can add additional letters such as KN to the product markings of each product that we manufacture. That test in itself is not changing. Neither is the impact test, because obviously the fundamental reason why safety eyewear exists is obviously, as I've mentioned, through the protection of your eyes, and that is fundamentally due to impact. Okay, whilst you'll have all your different shadings and such things like that, they go into different levels of, if you're working outside and you want additional protection from the sun and such things like that, then that's why they exist. But fundamentally, because it's a polycarbonate lens, the whole idea is that it protects you against an impact. So from an impact point of view, the codings for what is currently now under the EN 166 for glasses is the letter F. So if you're ever dubious about what you may have, what you're wearing, if it's a pair of glasses, it must be F. Okay. And that test is that impact test, which is a steel ball bearing, 5 at 45 meters a second, is remaining the same. Okay. Excuse me. And as I come through, but for goggles, it's going to change, and I'm going to come to that a bit further down. One of the other important changes within EN ISO is to do with the lateral impact testing, which is now going to be 2 tests. Okay, and on some products there is a requirement to increase the lens area size to offer more protection around the eyes. So these are the fundamental changes that are happening. Okay, and as you can see from here, you see what's been updated. The modifications mainly address lateral protection zones, so that, as I mentioned, at the sides. Okay, so that's an improvement in the current EN 166 testing and standards. So here we come back to the testing. So under the current EN 166, pair of glasses, should be marked, or has to be marked F if it complies. there's your 6mm ball bearing with a mass of 0.86 grams fired at 45 meters a second. To put that in layman's terms, that's approximately 100 miles an hour. Okay, under new EN ISO, the marking will now be C. Okay, but it's still the same 6mm ball bearing, 0.86 of a gram at 45 meters a second. All right, but obviously when you go to an EN ISO product, then the lateral impact testing will be greater. And that's why when you see some of the products that we've already brought to market, that we've already certified to EN ISO, you'll find that potentially the sidearms, may be a little bit deeper, okay, to offer that additional protection. When we come to goggles, this is the interesting thing that I find within the new EN ISO standards, is that currently a goggle must be marked as B. And you'll see all these, if you look at, I should have looked at it. When you look at safety, oh, you may not be able to see this because of the background, but within the glasses, there will always be the coding within the lens, or at least on the sidearm. So with goggles at the moment, and this also includes hybrid goggles. So a hybrid goggle is effectively a pair of glasses that will have a headband. And as long as the headband is worn, because some of them we allow to be, you can take them off, okay, then they are also rated as B. If the headband comes off, then they're F. But under the current EN166 testings, you can see the current marking is B. It's still a 6mm ball bearing at the same weight, but the velocity was 120 meters a second, okay, which I think in layman's terms is around 245 from memory, miles per hour. As you can see, excuse me, under the new EN ISO, that rating or that velocity is dropping to 80 meters a second. The simple reason for that is that it was decided upon by the powers that be that the current testing was too harsh. It was too high. It didn't need to be that high. I do apologize. So they've reduced it down. Now, some people may be a bit worried about this, but again, if I speak in sort of layman's terms, if you have a properly certified pair of safety glasses, which are polycarbonate lens, that have an F marking on them, so even forget a goggle for the moment, take one home, take a hammer, and try and break the lens with your hammer. I guarantee you will not break that lens. And that's obviously, when you consider the glasses are rated at 45 meters a second, you can see why they've dropped the rating down, or the velocity rating down, from 120 to 80 for the goggles. Okay. So hopefully that explains that and clears that up for you. And again, the same will apply for goggles regarding the size of the lens area. For full face goggles, which is the impact, which will be the sort of the image you're seeing on the left hand side of the screen, on the bottom left hand side, that's not a problem. But for hybrid goggles, then we are making some changes and renewing some of our hybrid goggle range, so the lens area increases. Again, part of EN ISO to provide a greater surface area to protect your eyes, and therefore to protect your vision from any impact. Moving on, we go to face shields. Again, there's been a slight change here. So current marking is A. It will move to E. Again, same ball, same mass, but again, you can see that the velocity has changed from 190 meters a second to 120. Again, the same principle applies when I mentioned about the glasses. If you want to take one home, try and break it with a hammer, you just won't. So you can see how as you step up to goggles and face shields, you've even got greater impact protection. Okay, obviously from a face shield point of view, don't have to worry about increasing the lens size, because it's a full face shield that obviously is designed to cover the whole of the face. But as you can see, there's been some small changes there. This, I won't dwell on this too much because I've covered most of it, but this obviously talks to you about the size of the steel ball bearing, the weight and such things like that, and the speeds that the products are tested at. Again, some slight changes here in regards to temperature. Okay, an extreme temperature test, so -5 to +45, and then the markings that will be applied. So CT, DT, ET, as it mentions up in the top left-hand side here, T. So T will stand for extreme temperatures. Okay, so depending on your working conditions and such things like that, there may be products that you may or may not wish to consider that has that marking within the product itself. And the one thing to mention is that the test is optional and carried out on the frame and the lens, but Bollé being who we are, they will be tested. Then we go into such things as liquid drops. So anybody working with any form of liquids in any shape or form, it could be chemicals, such things like that, solvent solutions, whatever it may be. Then again, you've got the current EN markings, and then what will be for the new EN ISO. Okay. Going on, again, this is now a lead test. Again, the markings and the testings will change, but you'll see, well, actually, fundamentally, it hasn't, because this is about dust particles and gas, and gases, okay? But the markings are staying the same at 4.5. So for argument's sake, if you have a goggle and you look for the code within the lens of the goggle, you will always see some numbers, and those numbers relate to what level of protection you're having. So if it's got a 4 and a 5 within the frame or the lens, then it was saying that the product is certified to cover for dust particles and obviously gas, as described on the slides. Okay. And then you'll have also other ones as well. So you'll have your which one was it? You'll have your for a goggle, you'll have your D rating. Okay. As we come down, so this is the KN rating that I was mentioning too, regarding scratching and also regarding fogging. Okay. Bollé has a unique coating that's called platinum. Through testing that has been done, it outperforms this test by 100 times more effective than what the test is actually required. Again, I can put it into layman's terms by telling you that if you're sensible enough and got a steady hand, put a pair of glasses or goggles or face shields from Bollé that has the platinum coating applied to it. You can put it over a steaming kettle, and inside and out, it will not fog. But one thing that I will mention, because it mentions it on the slide on the bottom right, is about water vapor, and I'll just take a couple of seconds to advise you all that there's a common misconception between fogging and condensation. So even if you did the test in a safer way, boil the kettle, put a hot cup of water on the table, rest a pair of glasses on the top so that all the heat is hitting the lens. Anything with platinum, what you'll find is that it will not fog, but moisture will form on the lens. Moisture forms due to the fact that the heat is hitting the lens so quickly and that it can't escape, and that's condensation. There's nothing any manufacturer can do about condensation. But fogging, as hopefully I've mentioned and told you about, we can do something about. UV, it's all, I won't go into too much detail, it's all compliant, it's roughly the same standards. Again, because we're short, we will have limited time. Okay, we won't go into such things like this. These will be things that you can read and digest at your own leisure. Okay, about thermal, corrosion, and flammability resistance. What have we got here? Yeah, this again goes on about some of the testing and regarding the ventilation. So obviously, as it says, that products now must offer direct vents that are less than 1.5 millimeters wide and not located in the protection zone. What we do with Bollé is that we have what's known as indirect ventilation. So rather than in a goggle, rather than the ventilation pointing outwards, it's pointing inwards. Okay, and that's how we overcome this. But also, all of our products currently are less than 1.5 millimeters. So we're already compliant with the new regulations even before they came out. This is about your physical test molten metals. Okay, so again, if you're wearing a goggle or a face shield and you need the protection against molten metals or hot solids, you'd be looking currently for the number 9. So I showed you earlier the 3, 4. Also, you can have the number 9. That's what this marking relates to for hot metals and solids. Okay, and fundamentally, that test and the standards hasn't changed. Okay, it's still the same marking. It's still on the lens and the frame. It's still at 900 degrees. So yes, and only obviously for now. So while goggles could previously claim the 9 marking under EN166, the fundamental change here is that now it's only face shields that'll be able to do so. Okay. But again, the current ones are fine. They're certified. They've been tested to this standard, to the EN166 standard. But now the change is that they're moving away from goggles having this, and it'll be purely for face shields going forward. What else have we got? This is about your chemicals. So again, the markings. So it now be 7. The one thing to note, everybody, when it comes to chemicals, is that unlike safety gloves, and I used to work for a major global manufacturer of hand protection, you can get test on gloves to show, determine the permeation time of when the chemical will soak through to the skin. Eyewear doesn't operate that way at all. So whilst there is some testing done to achieve the standards, if you went to an eye manufacturer, you could get any chemical, you could get them to give you a report on any chemical regarding the permeation / breakthrough time. With eyewear, that doesn't apply because polycarbonate is very good at protecting against all chemicals. The one thing is that you will just have to decide as part of your own internal health and safety policy is then the strength of that chemical, and can it just be washed off if there's a splash, or do you need to replace the product? Bollé doesn't determine and tell people about their health and safety policies. That's for you to decide upon yourselves. Okay, but polycarbonate is very resistant to chemicals in general. And this goes on a bit more about the physical chemical tests, the coding that will apply to it, and then here are some of the chemicals that are listed that have been tested to ascertain, obviously, the marking of CH. Right, ATEX. I don't know if this is relevant to anybody on the call. I'll talk about it briefly, but this is about arc flash and such things like that. Okay, and obviously, being who we are, and as what is listed below at the bottom half of this slide, is that you'll see that we have certain products that are what's known as ATEX certified. Okay, there's no real change in the standards to do with ISO with this. The current ATEX certification is still compliant, and it's basically about a product that won't produce a spark and arc flash as such, as additional protection for people who work in those sorts of areas. You may or may not. So these are the new codings, both on the lens and obviously on the frame. Okay, so as you can see, if we just go to the bottom here on the lens, you can see the protection 7 for heat, 9 that I've mentioned for molten metals and hot solids. Okay, and then obviously the markings that will be on the frame. So the standard number of 1623 will have to be applied on the frame. You'll see the Bollé safety crown, for example, and so forth and so on. Okay. And like I say, we're already producing and have in the market certain products that are already EN ISO certified, and everything new that we now bring to market, and we are having a major launch of a new product imminently in the next few weeks. Even though that's ahead of when the new regulations come into play, we have certified that already to EN ISO. Okay. If you ask for the presentation, you'll obviously see this and see where the markings are, what they relate to in regards to this slide and the one that I've just shown you. Okay. Again, this is just some PPE regulations. It really covers everything that I've said already. to a large degree, but it's there in black and white that you can look at your own leisure. This gives you the timelines. You can see how long this has been going on for the last 3 years, and how they've been trying to, get everybody to agree on what the standards would be, and also launch dates. And obviously, being EN ISO, it's obviously going to be a global certification as well. So that's the end of my presentation. The one thing I will also share with you briefly before I wrap up is that this will also be made available through SLS as well, if you so wish. Okay, so again, this is more of a this is maybe better for you than the 2 slides, because obviously there's an image. It'll show you where the marking should be. It'll show you then what each code and frame marking relates to, whether it's glasses, goggles, or face shield. For example, with the E, then it's only showing the icon for a face shield, and hopefully you'll find that beneficial also. And like I say, if you have any questions, then the guys and girls at SLS or myself will more than happily help them for you. So rather a lot to cram in. Sorry, I am a Scouser, so we do speak quickly. So I hope you got the message, also understood the message, and that's really me wrapped up. And I'll answer any questions if there is any.
No, thank you, Steve. That was helpful. So, there's been quite a few questions. A lot of them are the same question. I mentioned it to you earlier. So, these science technicians, some people don't know when their goggles or glasses were bought and how old they are, and if they need to replace them because they're over 5 years old. Do you want to take that question?
Okay, so I'll tell you all a very brief story. Pre-COVID, Bollé used to exhibit at the Safety and Health Expo in London at the Excel. A gentleman came to me and he said, "I've got this pair of glasses. Can you tell me, do I need to change them?" I tested the glasses for the anti-fog. They didn't fog at all. They looked in pristine condition. I mean, obviously the gentleman looked after the glasses. I asked him how old they were. He said they were 6 years old. Okay. Once you have your safety glasses, they will, if you look after them, they will last and last and last. In regards to how long you keep them for, that is your decision to make regarding any damages, any potential scratches that are on the lens, which then may affect your vision, because typically we tend to, as human beings, we tend to focus on the things that that annoy us. But no, there's timelines in regards to from a manufacturer to sell a product once it's manufactured. So we'll have batch numbers and such things like that. And then for distribution, there's also, we typically say a 2-year shelf life is the guideline. But once you guys have them and you're using them, they can be used and used and used forever.
Yeah, I think that's some good, honest advice that you got from Steve. Instead of trying to sell you a whole bunch of new stuff, he's told you the truth, which is if they're working, they're still good. You shouldn't need to replace them as long as you're happy with them.
I've potentially just done Bollé out of thousands of pounds worth of business, but we're an honest company, so yes.
We appreciate that, and this is the first time I've ever done a webinar where I keep repeating myself saying you don't need to buy everything.
Yeah, I know.
I've got a few more questions here. One person said, if someone wears glasses, do they have to wear goggles over their normal prescription glasses?
Okay. If you wear over prescription, so our goggles are designed to be worn over prescription eyewear. However, there are, depending on what your personal frame is, the size of it and such things like that, you may find that there's some that just won't fit over. But that's one of the reasons why, as Bollé, and in believing in protecting people's eyes, we don't just do the products that you've seen, which we refer to as plano. So glasses, goggles, hybrid goggles, face shields, that's plano. But we also do a full prescription range as well. Okay. And imminently, by the end of this year, we will also go back to something that we used to do a couple of years ago, which is to place prescription inserts into goggles. So whilst you can get a pair of standard safety prescription glasses, you'll also get hybrid goggles in prescription, and you'll be able to get a full face goggle in prescription as well. And as a rule of thumb, very quickly. If you're wearing your own personal glasses and the lens, and some people spend hundreds and hundreds of pounds on their own personal glasses, but if that lens touches the polycarbonate lens of a safety product, it will damage it, and that will come off worse, and then you'll be very disappointed that you've spent all that money and your glasses have been damaged. So my advice would always be to get a pair of safety prescription eyewear.
And I say that's a product we actually wanted to highlight today, because apart from this new legislation, it was my idea to add in, there's an all-inclusive pack, which Bollé do. Can you stop sharing your screen a minute, Steve?
Yeah.
I think I've got a slide prepared about this. So I think it was a few months ago, I met a customer who had a pair of these prescription safety glasses. They were from Bollé, and she said how much easier it was wearing them instead of wearing her glasses and goggles over the top. So I wanted to highlight that as something we do sell.
Just while you're doing that, Gary, let me also point out that under PPE regs, PPE is meant to be comfortable. I've never known anybody tell me that wearing two pairs of sets of eyewear is comfortable. So that's something else to take into account as well.
It's definitely got to be an improvement. I mean, every technician has a lab coat, and no one's bought their own lab coat because you need it for work. I think if you wear glasses, especially if you're a chemistry technician, you wear them a lot. I think you've got a good case to go to your head of science and say, this would make me more comfortable at work. If you can see what the slide I'm showing at the moment, I think it has, yeah, it should have the product code for Bollé's all-inclusive prescription pack. The price at the moment is with the 10% discount I mentioned earlier. And yeah, the pack comes through, you fill it out, take it to your optician, all paid for, and then you can choose how many frames you get to choose from, Steve. Is it about is it 15 or 16 or?
It's the full range of what we do, which if
Right.
you take into account every different size, every different color, because some models have about 4 different options, you're probably talking around 35 to 40 frames now. We've got the largest frame range in the market. You will also get a 2-year warranty, and you'll also get that platinum anti-fog coating that I mentioned free of charge as well.
Yeah, so I think that's something good, and I know a lot of us wear glasses. So if you are interested in that, then again, feel free to contact me, your local area manager, and we'll answer any questions you have. Let's see if there's any more questions. Donna and Kat, if you're in the other chat and there are questions there which haven't been answered, can you copy and paste them into the Q&A, please? Would there be any hybrid goggles that are qualified for liquid splashes? They're all, the liquid splashes are covered by motion goggles, aren't they?
Yes.
Not, I mean, yeah, liquid splash isn't.
And what you'll find with our products is that the seal, the TPR material used to seal around the face, has a chute mechanism. So even if you take a splash impact on your forehead and it's coming down, it will collect in the chute and run down the sides. Okay. And then the only difference then between goggles is whether you have a ventilated goggle or a sealed goggle. Okay. And obviously a seal gives you more protection from things like gas and dust and such things like that.
A couple of people asking how would they know when their certification ends? I don't think
you don't need to.
Yeah, you don't need to know, and it'd be very hard to find out.
You got, as for the first question that I was asked about how long can I keep my glasses for, you don't need to know when the certification ends. All that you need to know now is that the new regulations are coming in from November. Anything new must be either certified EN ISO. Anything current is still under EN 166 is fine until that certification expires. Then when it gets renewed, it has to be EN ISO. And the things to look for, whether it's a Bollé product or any competitor's product, is those markings that I've mentioned. Yeah. So if it's currently EN 166, you're looking for F for glasses, B for a goggle, A for a face shield. Okay. And it should also state on there that it is also EN 166 to show that it's compliant. If you haven't got those things on there, to put it in Where's from Liverpool, run a mile.
Yeah, no, I
Okay.
agree with that.
And I have to say to everybody, this is also very important when it comes to prescription. I won't mention who the optician is, but it's a major high street optician where they are notorious for putting a material in the lens that's called CR39. Now, CR39 is currently governed under the EN166. It has the letter S. Please believe me when I tell you, if I could demonstrate it, I would. But if I had a CR39 lens here, I could snap it with my fingers. Okay. So even though it's governed, it doesn't offer that impact protection as I described earlier with polycarbonate. Okay. And obviously doing your own test if you feel free to try and smash it with a hammer. And I'll go so far as to say that if anybody comes back to Gary and says, Gary, I smashed a pair of safety glasses, fully regulated, with a hammer, I will come and buy you the biggest slap up lunch you've ever had. And in
I'll
9 years, nobody's asked me.
I will hold Steve to that, and I'll happily
But
hold
I
the
will.
hammer and give it a go myself if someone wants me to.
You give it a go. You give it a go, my friend, and anybody else. Okay.
And I see some people asking about how do you know which goggles are certified by which. These are very new standards. So at the moment, from our product range, we sell a lot of safety eyewear, and I think there's only one product which is done by the new standards, which is one of the Bollé products. I believe, is it the Swift goggles? Steve, is that the one that's on
No,
the new
the Swift.
standard?
Okay, so the Swift is a pair of glasses, but yes,
Okay.
that is EN ISO.
Yeah.
The goggle, is the Spectrum.
Right. Okay.
Okay.
And what you're going to find from us and all the other distributors is we will continue to sell safety eyewear, which is marked EN1166, because it's good. It's good safety eyewear. You've been using it for years. It does work. Manufacturers and distributors are not going to throw them all in the bin just because there's a new standard come out, and we shouldn't as well because it would be waste. So if it's really important to you to have something that's done by the new standard, again, ask your area manager to check. We'll tell you pretty quickly which standard it's been tested by, but you should not worry about buying the old standard stuff either. We will be selling it
No,
at least the next
absolutely.
couple of years, I think.
Yeah, it will be. It's probably fair to say that it'll be longer for distribution selling them than it will be manufacturers because obviously we'll clear out our stock earlier. But in the PDF that I showed you with the markings at the very end, so the goggle that it relates to that is EN ISO, it clearly states that at the top it will say EN ISO. Okay, so if you look closely and if it is properly certified, whether it's EN166 or EN ISO, it will say it on the frame, ideally the frame and the lens. If you've got any queries, then shout because it may or may not be compliant because there is a lot of bad PPE out in the marketplace at the moment.
Yeah, I mean,
And
that's
sorry, Gary. The one thing that I will just let everybody know that if anybody knows the organization BSIF, that's BSIF, we are audited by them every year. Okay.
okay. So, I mean, technicians will be used to checking for like the C of E marking on microscopes and electrical equipment, things like that.
Yeah.
So similar, it should be on the glasses themselves. And if you're talking to a distributor with a deal too good to be true because you're getting them all for 10p each, I can pretty much guarantee you they haven't got all the right markings, and you should probably think twice.
Correct. Correct. And you can go to bollé-safety.com. You can look at all of our products on there. You can download data sheets. You can look at certificates of conformity. We're completely transparent. All the information is there. Okay.
No, that's brilliant. And we invited Steve and Bollé in today because, like I say, they are a specialist in protective eyewear. No one better to deliver today's content and to give you all the facts you need. I mean, if I'm keeping an eye on the questions, I can't see any more questions coming in. 1 minute, new post. At the moment, we need
You can't find the right.
Yes, Lauren, that's correct. Yes. Santo, any option for close to mid? Oh, sorry, that just closed on me. This is about the prescription. Any option for close to mid correction? I think you do both, don't you? Do nearsighted, far-sighted for your prescription safety eyewear.
Yeah. So we're talking about prescription. So the your standard lenses are single vision, bifocal, and varifocal, or progressive, as it's also known as. Bifocal is very much a lens that is fading away, but we still manufacture them. We'll do high index as well. We've done prescriptions up as high as +12, -10. Okay, we've dealt with individuals with stigmatism and such things like that. Again, because our only focus is eyewear, we've even had opticians who have come to us and say, we can't make this, can you? Okay, so yeah, there's a full suite on the prescription side. It isn't all covered in the RX pack. That's a sort of a limited offering of frames, 2-year warranty, your anti-fog coating. That's it, simple and easy. But you can also get tints and such things like this, and other different coatings like anti-reflective as well. Okay, if you wanted to branch out further into prescription, and that's quite simple to take care of with Gary and his team at SLS.
We had someone ask if Steve's going to share his presentation. He is going to share his presentation next week. Sometime you'll get an email from your area manager. There'll be a link which will take you to where you can download Steve's presentation if you do want to look at it in more detail. We'll also add the recording to this webinar and any other useful information we think is of interest around today. One more new post. Oh, a couple of thank yous and thank you for the update. So I think we've got some happy customers, Steve.
Good. I hope it was beneficial for everybody.
Oh, I'm an international school. Are these regs for Europe only? I think they are European regulations, aren't they? Or do they affect?
It is at the moment, but they're looking to make it global standard because it's ISO.
Right. Okay.
Okay, but obviously you're talking about how many countries in the world all agreeing on the same standards, which is one of the reasons why it's taken from 2022 to 2025 for this to come into EMEA.
Yeah, so maybe 2030 or something. It goes to the rest of the world. Who knows?
I don't know. Maybe it'll be Donald Trump's next task.
I say, well, I hope everyone.
Question. There's one coming to the question and answers. What's the best cleaning method for safety eyewear?
Okay, so if you are buying this, well, I'm going to sound like a typical salesman, and I don't mean to. Bollé has been on a sustainability drive to reduce its CCO and impact on obviously the environment. Therefore, products like the Swift that Gary mentioned, and the new one I said is coming imminently, will have within the frame, the side arms will have anything up to 33% of recycled polycarbonate put into them. So we're using recycled materials. In the same respect, the platinum coating, we strip out as many chemicals as we can, but then we also did the same with our cleaning solutions. So our cleaning solutions are predominantly water-based. If you are, my advice and almost request is that if you're buying a pair of Bollé glasses or goggles or whatever the product may be, please use Bollé's cleaning materials, because if you go near them with anything alcohol or silicon based, then you will take that platinum coating off, and then you'll complain to Gary that you were on a webinar and there was a scouser telling you that the glasses won't fog, and they are fogging, and the first thing I'll ask is, what are you using to clean them? So please use Bollé. If you don't want to spend the money on using Bollé, then I'll even be fair enough to tell you what you can do is just rinse them under some lukewarm water and make sure you dab them off with a microfiber cloth. Don't rub, just dab until it's dry and go from there. But we have a suite of cleaning products from a cleaning station with cleaning solutions and tissues in it, or you can get little square wet wipes that you can carry around in your pocket or have on your desk, which again is just impregnated with the cleaning solution, and they're fine to use. But nothing alcohol or silicon based, because it'll take the coatings off.
Is there an expected life cycle for safety glasses? I mean, that the coating you're talking about, would it come off if you had them for 10 years just by itself, or if you look after them, it should stay then?
I gave you the story of the guy who came to the exhibition, and they were 6 years old. And at the exhibition, we always have a steamer to demonstrate how effective our anti-fog coatings are. When I put it over them, it didn't fog at all. So it's a bit like I always say to people when I do toolbox talks, you know, I say, and I walk in and I'll sort of throw my phone onto a desk, and I'll go, well, that phone is still working. Now, if I kept on doing that day after day after the day, somewhere along the line, the phone's going to go no more. It's the same with your safety. It's the same with anything. If you look after it, you know, even look at cars. If you service your car regularly, you know, modern cars now will last and last and last. So it all depends largely on how well you look after them. You look after them well, then they will last. Okay.
Yeah. I think that's a good answer. You can't really say how long something's going to last. It is always
I
down
can't.
to
Sorry, I
how
can't
you
because
treat it.
I can't because it's indefinite. I mean, obviously, Bollé would love you to be wanting to order a new pair every week, and so would Gary. But the truth of the matter is, that's how long they will last for if you look after them.
That's it. And we know everyone's budget's tight, so you spend money where you
Yes.
need to spend it. Don't waste it on things you don't particularly need.
Just spend the money on the right products, and then you'll if you invest in the right products, then you'll get longevity.
I say it to customers a lot. I mean, not that I'm always trying to push the most expensive product we sell and stuff, but you get what you pay for a lot of the time. You know, you buy the very cheapest thing, it might not last very long and you have to replace it. You spend more and you might have something that lasts years. So it is something to
Well,
consider when you're purchasing.
you're absolutely right. I mean, we deal heavily in the construction industry, and there's multiple examples of where we've proven to people a cost in usage. If you spend a bit more, the product lasts longer, so you're not going through so many. Then, depending on where you may be in regards to your business and sustainability, then you're using less and so forth and so on, and it's all a benefit and a help.
Yeah, so we've slightly run over now. Remember, we are running the 10% discount on all Bollé safety products until the end of this year. If anyone is interested in updating their PPE. No other questions have come in, so I'm going to be ending the session now. But thank you everyone for supporting us and attending, and obviously special thank you for you, Steve, for delivering today's content.
My pleasure.
I'll say if anyone does send me feedback, I'll make sure I collate it all and send it off to Steve so he knows how it's gone today. But thank you everyone. Have a good afternoon and hope to see you at the next one.
All the best, everybody. Take care. Bye bye.